All right, welcome one and all to Knox Makers Tuesday night show and share. Anybody here visiting Knox Makers for the first time? Any visit? Oh, okay, more than a few. All right. Well, welcome. Tuesday nights are our show and share nights where we come together as a community and people show off what they're working on and what they finished or what they're stuck on or what they failed at. We welcome all sorts of projects. And so this week we're going to kick off our list with Wes, who is going to show a laser engraved handmade knife.
Hello, everybody. So a few weeks back, my family and I went to Gatlinburg, and we spent about a week there. We went to a knife store and decided to spend a couple hours making some handmade knives. Here is what the store essentially looks like. So they've got a kiln there. I guess is what locksmiths call it, where you heat everything up. They have all of the knives pre-cut. They're from railroad ties or railroad spikes or horseshoes. And basically, you get to kind of hammer it out, smash it, half a dozen times. They put it back in the kiln to heat it back up, and then bring it back out. And these are things that can be done here at Knox Makers over at the blacksmith shop as well too. So that's how it comes out first. Pretty dirty, all mangled up. Then they smooth it out, right? Give it a nice fine edge. They add a little handle, a little divot finger thing or whatever, and then it turns out that it looks something like that, right? So pretty cool. And of course, we've got equipment here, fiber laser, a crossbow to be able to handle etching on it. So I decided to go ahead and put some cool lettering and stuff on it, little commemorative date and stuff like that. So that one was mine. My nephew decided to go with that. Yep. He's got the largest knife. My dad went with that right there. That's from Game of Thrones. And then my sister did one as well too. If I can find it in the box here. Let me zoom in a little bit. So she didn't really want anything else. Now, when you're doing these things, the best thing to do is to have some extras or spares in case you tend to mess up on these. So I suspect she's probably not going to be using this knife, for any kind of purpose, and for it to be messed up is probably okay. Any questions on that?
How long do you spend in the class?
Oh, very good question. So there were 4 of us in our little class. We probably spent 45 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe 30 minutes, just hitting the hammer on it. And then sometimes you got to twist it and stuff like that. But, they're walking you through everything. It costs about $60 to go through it. So you get a knife. It's, it's fun.
But from start to finish, how long?
I mean, if it was just myself, maybe 30 minutes, I mean, you got to prep it so that way you cut it just right so it's a nice size. You got to spend time where it's in the fire, right? So that takes time. And, while it's in the fire, you're working on another one. Then the other 3 are heating up, and then you just kind of switch them out. So they got it down, pretty well, I think, for it. They were overbooked and stuff like that. So it's pretty popular where we went to. But it was nice to be able to do that and then be able to, of course, engrave it is kind of cool. It's a nice little touch that they don't offer, but, we offer that here. So, yeah. I don't know. I'll look it up, and if you want to get with me after, you can. It's in the main downtown area. It's probably the only knife town in Gatlinburg. Yeah, you do want to make reservations for it and stuff like that. So, yes. Any other questions? Cool. All right. Thank you.
Next up, Randy is going to show a 3-panel poster.
Several years ago, I discovered that Hyundai made a couple vehicles, one called the Santa Fe, which is a small SUV, and a Santa Cruz, which is a tiny pickup. And it gave me an idea for a poster involving these two vehicles. The only problem was mainly logistics. Where would I get a picture of these vehicles with the same background, same color vehicles that I wanted, and a dealer that would let me do all this? It just wasn't going to happen, so I set that idea aside for a while. Last fall, I had an epiphany. I said, wait, ChatGPT can generate images for you. So I asked it to generate a Santa Fe and a Santa Cruz for me, and the images came out beautiful. So I created my 3-panel poster out of these vehicles, and I could print them. The very photorealistic images it produced. I could produce photographs and frame them and have my poster that way. But I decided that just wasn't enough of a kick, so once again I set the project aside. A couple months ago I was reading an ad masquerading as an article, and it was from Anchor. They had this new UV printer out called the UV Make E1. And I decided I needed one of these, and not so much for this poster, but because I need to print on 3D printed objects all the time. And I'm sure in future days here I'll be showing you some of the work from that. But after I got the printer, it occurred to me, hey, this kit I got with the printer included these 3 12 by 16 stretched canvases. And I said, why don't I put my poster on these canvases? And so here's my first poster, and there's the second poster. And the third one, of course, has to be So I've got some frames coming in tomorrow from Amazon, and although these particular canvases were quite expensive coming from UV-Make, you can get them much cheaper online or from Amazon or from just Walmart for that matter. The thing that's most expensive about these guys is a frame you put them in. A decent frame is going to cost you a floating frame is going to cost you about $40 a pop. These things, even with the expensive stretched canvas that I got from Anchor, they probably cost me $15 a piece to make. The UV Make is a real interesting device. I've printed lots of stuff. I'm sure I'll show some of this stuff over the next couple of months. They have this 3D printer mode where it will put down layers and layers of ink so you get a raised image on the thing. Yesterday I tried printing a poster using that and discovered, I'll never do that again because it went through $80 worth of ink to get me this one poster. Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you very much. I'll set these out over there.
Thank you. Next up, Carteret is going to talk about some recent adventures.
Hello. There's something I have felt a little bit challenged by in these presentations, which is I mostly haven't been making small objects, but I've been making other things like memories, making connections, and the main craft that I've honed is home remodeling. And so those I don't get to bring with me and show you. But as I get up and running in the wood shop and all that, there's a bunch of stuff that I'd love to make, and then I can share some physical objects. Funky. Did I hit a button? Okay. So I've also been making some little collaborations with my friend Christian, who's here with me today. So I've got a couple clips to share. This is from a recent road trip that went up to Chicago and then over to Massachusetts, where I linked up with Christian, and we visited an eco-village there, which is called Sirius Community, which is, I believe, about 40 years old. And here's the clip from that. All right, short and sweet. Then after that, we went to the National Rainbow Gathering. Here's another short clip from that. And then we got back to Knoxville a few days ago, and a friend of mine hired me to run sound for a warehouse party last night in Ocoee. And I have some very short clips from that, and that'll finish it out. This was last night. And part of the significance of that is that, so I do live sound, and I love music. I have a band and all that. And the PA from that night is in the back of my pickup truck right now, because I came straight from there to here. So if anybody wants to nerd out about some PA gear, you're welcome to holler at me, and we can go chat, take a look at it. And that's it for now.
All right, coming up next, Zoe's going to talk about survivorship bias.
Some of you may already be familiar with the concept of survivorship bias, which is a statistical error. But I made a 3D model of a very famous 2D figure, and I will explain what it is shortly. So first of all, I made this because at this point a couple months ago, took the Intro to Welding, the MIG class. And one of the things you do in that class is weld up a plane and potentially cry, but it's still fun. It's still fun, but welding is a little scary, but I encourage you to explore being scared. So this is we made this plane that we had to weld up, and just like, don't maybe look too closely at the welds. Look at this one. Anyway, so and then I was like, oh, it's a plane, and it reminded me of the survivorship bias figure, and so I decided to turn it into that figure, which if you look up survivorship bias, you'll see an image that looks exactly like this plane, but in 2D. But basically, what the story is behind this is that back in World War II, they were using planes a lot, and the planes were getting shot down, unfortunately. And they were like, okay, we need to reinforce these planes, but where do we put the armor on them? Because planes famously fly and therefore cannot be too heavy. So we can't put armor everywhere. And they were like, well, all of our planes have bullet holes in all of these spots where the red dots are. So obviously we have to put the armor where the bullet holes are because that's where they're getting shot. And that's what all of the commanders of the US Air Force wanted to do. And this one statistician came in and he was like, no, no, no. Because what you have to do instead is actually put the armor where the bullet holes aren't. Because this is an example of survivorship bias. The only planes that they got to study the bullet holes on were the ones that made it back alive. So these bullet holes are actually fine. We wanna reinforce all the other spots. So anyway, it's just like a famous science diagram engineering thing, and I made it in the MIG class, so this is also a plug for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Are those in the exact same spots as the diagram, or are you just gonna move them around? Dot, 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 dot.
It depends on what you mean by exact. It does match. I mean, the concept conceptually matches the diagram in this.
I just meant the count.
You what?
I meant the count of the bullet holes.
No, not the exact number, but like the part of the plane that they're on is where the bullet holes were. Yeah.
What sparked your interest? Sorry.
What sparked my interest?
Yeah.
I thought it was a really interesting type of bias. Like, for example, other examples of survivorship bias are everyone says we don't engineer things as well as we used to, but only the things that are engineered really well have survived until now, and so then we think all those old things were all done really well, which is not necessarily true. I'm an engineer, so I guess I just like to think about those things.
Great, thank you.
All right. Does anyone have anything else to share that didn't make it onto the list? All right, great. Well, we have some events coming up. Actually, one of them was just mentioned. But coming up on the 11th, we have Quilty Pleasures. That's the quilting meetup. Next Tuesday, the 14th, after show and share, we will have a new member onboarding. So if you're a prospective member or a new member or just want to learn more about Knox Makers, that will happen next week. That is a session to learn about us as an organization. Next Thursday, the 16th, was the class just mentioned, the Intro to Metalworking, MIG 101. Also that night will be another edition of As the Lathe Turns, the woodworking meetup. And then the 18th is going to be a very busy day. We have 4 major events happening that day. One is the Woodworking 101, which has tickets available. Another is our Stitch and Bitch Fiber Arts meetup that day. We also have a fabric covered boxes class, and then that's also session number 1 of our Painting for Beginners class, and so that's a 4-part painting series. We've never done something like that before, so it's brand new and exciting, and that's session number 1 is happening on that Saturday. Tonight, after we wrap up here, we will have a sort of lightning talk after here about Jellyfin media servers, and so that's a open source media server and that you can use to stream your personal media from. And so we will have that talk in here about 5 minutes. We'll reconvene and have that. So after we wrap up here. So if you are interested in learning more about that, stick around. And then another shameless plug for our market posters. There are still some out in arts and crafts on the table. These are available for you to pick up some copies and distribute them amongst the community and help promote the market, because now we are within the 3-month mark, so we're all in the promotional blitz. So if you want to grab some, they will be out there, and we'll probably, if you want to contribute a poster and want to make one, you can message me on, I'm at Sean on Mattermost, and I have the information available for that. And we might have another poster jam where we all gather together and make posters as a group. So keep your eyes peeled if you want to participate in one of those. Other than that, that is all the announcements that we have tonight. So like I said before, if you want to stick around for the talk, I'll be reconvening in here about 5 minutes. But otherwise, we will wrap up and let you go out in the workshop and socialize and do cool stuff. Thanks for coming.